Howdy folks, I'm Brusque Bronze Copper, brazenly braving brutal breezes.
I'm Amber.
And here are more brutal breezes for us to brave, and that's really important as a butterfly because you kind of got to be in the wind if you want to fly. Let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Refusing to Share My Inheritance with My Boyfriend After He Quit His Job for Us? So I just received a decent inheritance from my grandmother who passed away earlier this year. We were really close. She left me around $25,000, which I plan to use partly for college, partly for a car, and maybe to travel someday. Well, now here's the issue. I've been with my boyfriend for about a year and a half. Things have been mostly good, and he's charming, funny, and supportive in many ways. But he's never really had a steady job. He works odd gigs, and recently quit a delivery job that he had been doing for a couple of months. When I asked him why he quit, he said, well, now that you've got the inheritance, I figured that I can finally focus on us instead of stressing over money. I honestly thought that he was joking, but he wasn't. I told him that I wasn't planning on using the money to support anyone, and it was for me, for things that my grandma wanted me to do. He got mad and said that I was being selfish, and that in a real relationship, people help each other. He is now telling mutual friends that I'm hoarding money and leaving him behind. Some of our friends are split, saying that I'm right to have boundaries. Others think that I should share at least a little bit with him if I'm serious about the relationship. He has been distant ever since, and even hinted that I'm not wife material if I can't build with him from the start. Now I'm feeling super conflicted. I don't want to be taken advantage of, but I also don't want to be seen as heartless. So am I the jerk for not wanting to share my inheritance with my boyfriend? Alright folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. This guy is not husband material, and you would be best off leaving him and finding someone more not manipulative. Like what he's doing is completely manipulative. He's
Yeah.
guilt tripping you left and right. I mean, first of all, he quit a job without consulting you, assuming he would get your inheritance money. Like he was making plans for your money and your future without you having any say in that. That's not a partnership, that's a dictatorship.
Yeah.
And the way he's demanding this, I mean, it's not even enough money to live off of long term. Like $25,000 is a good chunk of change. Like if someone were to hand me $25,000, I would be overjoyed, but it's not enough to live off of for the rest of my life. It's not even enough to live off of for like very long.
Yeah.
And so I just do not see this going well for you because from a combination of his manipulation tactics and his misunderstanding of how expensive it is to live.
So I think there's a lot of issues here, and I think that Amber touched on a lot of those points. And there's the one of the questions could be is like, well, is this even in the U.S. and maybe the money can stretch further in another country, right? I mean, this could be $25,000 USD, and they're in a place where now that money can stretch even further. Supposing even under the best circumstances, though, $25,000 is not going to get you more than a few years, right? Now, OP had made a decision on what to do with that money, right? And a lot of times, even married couples, inheritances are considered kind of separate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's not every couple, and every couple is going to be different, but in a lot of cases that I've read over, at least, inheritances are generally for the person whose parent or loved one passed away. Now, as for the boyfriend here, yeah, I think he's absolutely got dollar signs in his eyes. Like he views OP as his free ticket, his meal ticket. And I think that this is just a flimsy excuse. He was always going to quit that job. He's always going to be bad at finding work. And OP is always going to be the person who's floating him here. And if OP doesn't want that kind of relationship, if they want a person who's going to be mutually hardworking and going to be supplying household income, then they're going to have to find a different partner because this guy is not it. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Burner Suplex says, not the jerk. He quit his job because you got an inheritance. He expects you to fund his stupid BS. $25,000 is a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, after a tuition and a car, there's not going to be much left. He's just being entitled, and you're not even married, and he's already starting stuff about money. Dump him. And Nifty 1997-777 says, That money could be gone in 6 months easily if no one is working. And Jade Tatsu says, 6 months? Geez, I could blow through that in 6 hours. 6 minutes if I had time to prepare. I'd have things to show for it, but yeah, it's not that much money. Not really. I mean, I think in the right hands, that kind of money can last a little while, but certainly, like, I think these people have a pretty good point. Like, you could buy a car in a
Well,
few minutes and
yeah.
have all of that money gone.
I mean, with the used car market, I mean, again, I don't know where OP is, but the used car market in the U.S. right now, like
Mm-hmm.
even a used car would take a good chunk of that money.
Yeah.
And if OP wants to go to college too, like I mean, even a community college, I mean, that could be like the entire tuition all eaten up on that, and you might still have more. I don't know what the exact rates are, but college is. I mean, I guess if it's a 2-year community college, you could probably get that and a cheap car maybe, and then that would be the entirety of the money. But there's not going to be like tons left over for doing things.
Mm-hmm. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Calling Out My Husband for Faking Sick in Front of My Kids? I'm a 41-year-old female, and I'm a stay-at-home mom for my 3 kids. My husband has a very good job and makes enough to where I don't have to work and can stay home with the kids. 3 months ago, my husband had to take time off of work because he had a really bad case of the flu. I took care of him for about a month. After that, he started noticeably feeling better. He no longer ran a temperature and wasn't throwing up and wasn't coughing, etc. So at this point, it's been 2 months of him being completely fine and still not working. He also still expects princess treatment from me. I've told him so many times that we're running out of money and he either needs to go back to work or go to the doctor and find out what's wrong. I'm also unable to work because my youngest is 6 months and my 2-year-old is disabled and she has a really hard time being without me. Well, last night at dinner, I absolutely lost it on him. My oldest daughter, a 15-year-old female, was asking me about a new phone. I told her that we're in a tough spot at the moment and that it meant we couldn't get fancy things like new cell phones. My daughter totally understood and she didn't have anything else to say. But my husband said, well, you could have a new phone. The problem is that daddy is sick and mommy doesn't want to work. So until she gets a job, we can't afford things like food or the house or anything. I was in absolute shock. We are not at all in a position where we can't afford the house or food. I told him that I couldn't go to work unless he wanted to take care of the baby, which he doesn't know how to do. Help with my oldest with her homework, drive her to and from school, cook, clean, and give my middle one her meds and attention that she needs. I also said that maybe if he would stop faking sick and act like a grown man, then the kids wouldn't have to know about our financial state. He got mad and stormed off. Then he said that I was a jerk and horrible mother for ridiculing my children's father in front of them. I personally think that what I said was probably wrong to say in front of the kids, but definitely not worse than what he said. All right, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk, because he was the one who said this first. Like, I do agree that, dragging kids into your financial issues is not generally a good thing. But I think it was important that Opie clarified that they are not about to lose their home and their food, and that there is an unreasonable expectation. Like, it's not that Opie is lazy. Like, as much as he's calling her lazy, she is doing all the housework and all of the childcare, and the fact that he would expect her to somehow still take care of the baby, still take care of their 2-year-old, still do all the drop-offs and pickups while he sits around at home all day, like the only person being lazy is him. I get jobs are frustrating and wanting vacation time. We have sadly very little here in the US, but dude, you need to step up and do your part.
I agree with OP that saying this in front of the kids wasn't appropriate. But unfortunately, he's the one who kind of shot that fire, right? If he didn't want to have this conversation in front of the kids, then he shouldn't have started the conversation in front of the kids. The fact of the matter is that he, he bullied OP and then he cries about being bullied, right? His accusation was a confession of the highest degree. He's accusing OP of exactly what he is doing. So this is just Darvo at its finest. Now, he needs to, like I think OP said, needs to go to a doctor if he feels that he's incapable of working at this point in time. And it was really irresponsible for him to drag out the family finances in front of the kids. And then on top of that, not being a very good partner and accusing OP of being the one who is letting the household fall apart like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there wasn't even any kind of discussion, it sounds like, with OP about this ahead of time,
Mm-hmm.
where he's like, oh, I'm too sick to work. Is there any way that you could go to work, right?
Right. He's just trying to guilt trip and bully her into it and make her look like the bad one in the eyes of the kids.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think there are certain times and places for divorce, and maybe that's the time that's quickly approaching for OP. If they do get divorced, at least it'll be one less mouth to feed, right? Um, he'll hopefully have to figure out how to go back to work at that point in time and maybe start collecting an income or something like that. This is just an untenable situation for OP. I feel
Mm-hmm.
extraordinarily bad for them. There's just not anything that they can do to make this guy pull his end of his weight here, right? Hopefully, though, he gets himself straightened out.
Mm-hmm.
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Distinct Newspaper 791 says, now with a 2-year-old disabled kid and a 6-month-old, I understand, but your oldest is 15. So when I think about it, there's a 10-year time that you could have worked. Was there ever a discussion? Did he want you to work during that time? Was the decision that you didn't need to work mutual? Maybe he also wanted to lower his work time and take care of the kids, etc. What he does now is weird, and there feels like a lot of missing info, as how can he take away 3 months off of work without getting paid and without quitting? But also, I'd always say that if you fight in front of the kids, even if your husband initiated, you're the jerk. Your husband feels like one too, but that doesn't excuse you. And OP replies, he always wanted a housewife slash stay-at-home mom. That was something that we discussed before we even got married. I offered to get a job multiple times when my oldest was 5 through 13, but my husband said no. What do you think of that?
I mean, it sounds like he's making unilateral decisions for OP's life. Like he wants her, he got tired of earning an income. So now he wants her to be the breadwinner and the stay-at-home mom. And it's like, you can't have both.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't sound like he's going to step up and take care of the kids. And like, what's going to happen to them if OP does get a job? You know, who is going to take care of the baby? If she has to put the baby in daycare, that's going to take basically all her income because she's been out of the workforce for 15 years. So her earning potential is much lower than it would be.
Yeah. And Base Clean says, you're a horrible mother, yet he doesn't know how to take care of his own baby? This guy is pathetic all around. Why are you with him? And OP replies, to be perfectly honest, I have no other choice than to be with him. I've been with him since I was 16 years old. I have no money, no lawyers, no family, nothing. If I leave, then I'm taking the kids, but I can't take them and then have them be homeless. I tried leaving when my oldest daughter was 5, but it didn't go well. He was mad, and I haven't tried to leave since. That's a sad situation.
It is. I mean, maybe there's a domestic violence resource center in the area that could help OP. It might be worth, like, if there's any way just to consult with them and see what her options are.
Yeah.
But that it is so hard to leave these kind of situations when you have no support.
Yeah. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Wanting to Divorce My Husband Because He Asked If He Could Get a BJ from a Sex Worker? Well, today is my birthday. So me, a 25-year-old female, and my husband, a 25-year-old male, decide to go out for lunch. The day was going well and everything seemed normal. On the way back home in the car, he asked me if I would mind if he hired a sex worker to blow him because according to him, my BJ skills are not that good. I asked him if he was serious, and he just kept asking if I would mind it. I got upset with him, obviously, and when he noticed that I was upset, he said that I was a hypocrite and I was making drama and that I wanted to ruin the day, etc. I feel hurt and I'm thinking about divorcing him. He just said that I was being a jerk for no reason. Am I overreacting? It's not like he cheated. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, I'm going to read a couple of comments here because I think they add some additional context real quick. And X James Zilla says, if he asked you at this point and got mad and called you a hypocrite, then he's already done it. So yes, it was very much like he has cheated. One question though, On what grounds is he using to call you a hypocrite? Something that you didn't tell us? And OP replies, he said that we had talked about this before and that I had agreed, but I don't remember if it ever happened, and I doubt that I would have agreed to this because I got cheated on before. And X Jameszilla says, sorry to say, but I am near certain that he has already done it, using prior discussions that didn't happen, but blaming you by way of saying that you have a bad memory may be gaslighting, a narcissistic tactic. So answering me this, do you have a bad memory? If you don't, then he's already cheated. And instead of feeling shame, he's opening options to turn defenses into offensive tactics. And OP replies, I do tend to forget things, but not big things like that. Only small things that are important. But I know myself, and I know that I would never be okay with him having any sort of intimate relationship with another woman. Live and let live 24/7 says, not the jerk. Gotta love hypocrite comments afterwards. Unfortunately, it seems like you didn't marry a keeper. And OP replies, I tried really hard to make sure that he was the one too. I saw him go through his grandfather's death, and I accidentally damaged his car, and he was super nice about it and didn't scream or belittle me. The only area that we had problems was our intimate life because I had some health issues and it killed my libido. But when that was managed, he was great. He also knew about my past and that one of my relationships was long distance. So I wasn't very experienced with being intimate, but I actually thought that our intimate life was okay. I'm very vanilla, but he never complained. All right, folks, now that we have additional information, what do you think?
No, definitely not the jerk. I think that a divorce in this case would be a good decision. It sounds like he is being manipulative and using OP's memory issues against her. And that is a horrible, horrible thing to do. Like, my brain is really good at remembering some things and not so good at remembering other things. And so, like, it's really frustrating when you feel like you can't trust your own memory and then someone weaponizes against you is like such a horrible, horrible thing, you know? And if he's willing to stoop to that level and be like, well, you agreed to this, you promised me, just get out. He's not a good person. He doesn't care about your feelings, about you. He just wants his own pleasure.
Yeah, so I think that this would definitely qualify as gaslighting. If he's calling OP a hypocrite and saying that we already talked about this, you already agreed to this, why are you so angry about it now? You know, that is textbook gaslighting right there. He's trying to convince her that her view on the world is completely, inaccurate, right? And that is the time to get out of a relationship, right? Once you can recognize the signs of abuse, then that means that if you can get out safely, that you should try your best to get out of a relationship like that. As for what the other people are speculating, do you think he's already cheated?
I mean, he is getting very defensive about it, and that is kind of like a hallmark thing that when people have already done something, he could just be seriously planning it and have someone in mind. So he either has done it already or he wants to do it ASAP.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell if he's already cheated, but I wouldn't be surprised given his reaction here. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
What did the dog say to their sibling?
Oh, the dog said to its sibling, woof, woof, bark, bark, I'm a dog. That last one was in English.
I've got a bone to pick with you.
No, dogs don't say that. I mean, because dogs bark. Unless they're very, magic dogs. Like, I mean, I've seen some dogs that were like, oh, Rearview, type of thing. But, I mean, they don't say words. They don't say sentences like that.
And today is Bond with Your Dog Day.
So, if you don't have a dog to bond with a stuffed animal, or find your neighbor's dog to bond with.
Assuming that your neighbor and the dog are amenable to you making friends with their dog.
Yes, trauma bond with their dog and have them
trauma bond.
And I have licorice spice.
Well, it's also Dance Like a Chicken Day today.
There you go. You got your chicken dance. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy wonderful Wednesday, folks. Hump Day, Friday, Junior's Eve. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it a haiku for Haiku Wednesday.
Don't manipulate. It's not okay and shows that you don't really care.
I like it. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.